I'm back. Here I come. So, we've heard a little today about what emotional intelligence is. We've heard some of the aspects of it. As I explained at the start, it's a huge topic, and we can only really scrape the surface today. But what I do know is, I've been working with this topic over the last 13 years with something in the region of 13,000 people in different countries, 3,000 in Lithuania, and it changes lives. And that's why I get up in the morning. That's why I do what I do. That's what my heart burns for in this job. It's to make a difference. It's to see those smiles, to see the quality changes it brings to people's lives. Because after all, isn't that what it's all about? Having high quality lives. And we only get one shot, right? We only get one chance. So we have a plan. We have a purpose. We have a passion. We have a vision of how we could transform Lithuania. And you're part of the plan. You're perhaps the most important part of it. You see, this is a relatively small country. You know, I come from a country with something like 70 million people. And it's harder to make an immediate impact when you're talking those kind of scales. But having worked here for 13 years and really got a feel and an understanding of this culture, I've discovered with smaller countries, actually, you can really change a country, not just a small part of it. With the right teamwork, with the right help, with the right people who believe that what we can do here with these tools can make a difference. So I just want to share with you our plan for that, because we do have a plan. And like I said, it involves you. Just to remind you of some of the things that Raza mentioned earlier, because why do we need this? Why does Lithuania need this? Well, according to the UNICEF research, looking at the wellness, well-being and life conditions and environment of 29 countries, Lithuania came in the bottom 3. 27th on children's satisfaction ratings. That's not good enough, is it? I don't like that, and I'm not even Lithuanian. But I think that needs to change. 1 in 2 parents that report it, or it gets reported, hit their children in this country. That doesn't work. That's about the ultimate -10 that you can ever give a child. It's a hard-rooted -10 that you're saying you're worthless if you hit your children. 1 in 2 kids get bullied. Bullying comes from lack of self-worth. Why would you need to bully another person if you were happy with who you are? Why would you need to make another person feel small? Show them their inadequacies if you were happy with yourself. So lack of self-worth. Yeah, if you have people with low self-worth, they'll have a need to bring other people down, to make them look foolish, to make them look worse. That's bullying. Got the highest child suicide rate in Europe. And like I said earlier, one of my biggest concerns for this country, from what I've seen, is especially the men. Maybe for good reasons. Too many boys have been taught that men have to be strong with their emotions. Men have to be strong and not show emotions. Men have to be the supporter. Men have to always work hard. Men can't have stress because it's not allowed. The result of that is you have the lowest life expectancy for men in Europe. Men are dying younger here than in any other country in Europe. And what's killing them, according to a study by AstraZeneca, who researched this, with help from the Swedish council here in Lithuania, what's killing men? It's stress-related illness. It's heart attacks and strokes. It's cardiovascular disease. Men are dying of stress here, more than any other country in Europe. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying other countries don't have problems, but are these things to be proud of? Or are these things that we have to take action on and change at the foundation level? My dream is to make myself unemployed. Not because I don't love my job, but at the moment, I do 95% of my work with adults in companies. Well, I'm helping busy executives deal with stress, deal with unhappy lives, deal with suppression of years of emotion, deal with crisis, learn how to communicate with respect for themselves and others. And I dream of a day where I'm never needed in companies anymore, because the children that are going to be the next generation and the generation after have been taught these fundamental principles of life as part of their everyday education. So why would you need an emotional intelligence consultant in a big international company, or even a small one? You wouldn't, because it's fundamental to the way of life. This is my dream, and I don't think it's going to happen maybe in my lifetime. But you know, you might say, why Lithuania? It's a small country, right? But actually, it's a small country in the world, and I guess you all know the story about the starfish, yeah? You know, the small boy who's walking along the beach, and he sees lots of starfish that have been washed up onto the shore, and they're dying because they need water. So he starts, one by one, to throw them back into the water. And a guy comes along and he says, well, you know, my small child, you're wasting your time, this is useless. How can you make a difference? There are thousands, hundreds of thousands of these starfish, so do you think you can make a difference? And the small boy just picks up one more starfish, throws it back into the ocean and said, well, I just made a difference to that one. So you have to start somewhere, right? Can you imagine a day, picture the future, where all Lithuanian kids, parents and teachers had developed emotional intelligence? It was fundamental. And it's not by coincidence I'm saying teachers, parents, and children. Because there's no point in teaching our kids if we're not doing it ourselves. It's got to be a consistent message. It's got to be authentic. Same as whenever I go into a company, the CEO comes to me and says, I want you to train my team. And I say, well, how about you, my friend? Because if you're not showing and living and breathing emotionally intelligent behavior, don't be surprised if other people don't either. So we need to start with you. Yeah? Imagine a day where Lithuania had the lowest stress rates in Europe. Would that be possible, I wonder? Imagine a day where bullying was a thing of the past, didn't exist, wasn't part of the Lithuanian school system. And Lithuania was proudly presenting this back to the rest of the world as a role model for other countries to follow. Imagine a day where work-life balance was automatic in Lithuania. And as our very wise young guest here said before me, that people weren't forced into positions but made more choices on their jobs, more choices based on qualities apart from exam passes. So there was the right match with the right person, with the right values for the right job. And it felt that people lived a life in balance. Imagine a day where on top of all of this, Lithuania also had its outstanding exam passes. Because as you've already heard from some of the stories today, developing emotional intelligence improves academic as well as emotional intelligent performance. So it's kind of a no-brainer, right? We want to get better exam passes and we want to create a happier, healthier society, help people to develop their emotional intelligence. But that starts with you. Can you imagine that day? Can you get a picture? Can you feel? Can you see it? How good it feels to achieve that as a country. And I do believe that that is possible. So we have a plan. And it's a plan that will roll out over the years to come. We just need a little bit of funding for this, but that's a small detail. But our plan is, first of all, already underway. We've started to do an EI pilot in schools. So this has already started. And right now, we're having a launch conference today, where we're informing you about what we've done. But today is a start. Today is not an end. Today is not a conclusion. Today is really a launch. You see, what we want to do is we want to train 80 people to begin with to be emotionally intelligent experts. And they'll go through a master's program teaching them how to teach this with myself, Irma, Raza, a couple of my other colleagues from the UK. And over the next couple of years, we'll have 80 experts in this country. And then those 80 experts, they'll become the guide to all the schools. Not just one, not just two, not just 20, but why don't we take all schools? And why don't we rally the politicians? Why don't we rally the decision makers to make it obligatory? So you have your mathematics lesson, then you have your self-worth lesson. And after self-worth, you go on to self-awareness. And then you do a bit of chemistry. And at the end of the day, you've got a little session on stress management. Imagine that as a curriculum. And imagine how that could make Lithuania an ambassador, a shining light on the globe for other countries. You see, we've already had interest from the other Baltic countries now. Just through myself and Irma posting some things on Facebook and social media, I already had a couple of people that I've been training in Latvia and Estonia saying, are you doing anything like this in Latvia? Because we'd like some of that. And what about Estonia? And then maybe we had a Baltic model. So you see suddenly lots of more starfish get thrown back into the sea and they live a healthy, happy life. So we have a model. And I want to hand you over now to Reda, who's going to tell you some more about that model and what's been happening and what will happen.